What's going on, everybody? It's your good old boy JR coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. As always, it is a pleasure to talk to you whenever I can, especially on this beautiful Tuesday night. We are here today. Might be a little late, but I had some stuff to do. But we are here because one of my favorite weeks of the year just passed, which was draft week, and man, it was a lot of fun. It's the best way I can put it. It was a lot of fun to hang out with my family, and then obviously Brandon, who was with us throughout this whole draft season. It was a lot of fun having him in Vegas. A lot of good times and everything. So I hope he had a good time. But it is over. Draft week is over. Everything has been settled. The picks have been made, and it's go time. Now this is the point of the reaction. But if you saw my video on Thursday, my brother's reaction was not too happy. I'm here to inform you he's a little happier now. But it's just one of those things where that's the draft. You know, um, One, as Raider fans, we shouldn't be shocked that it's a shocking pick. But sometimes that's just how the draft goes. Sometimes you can hear everything, you can read everything online, but at the end of the day, it's what I always say. You don't, if you think you don't know. Never did I think we would do that with our first round pick. Never did I think that that guy was even touching our board. He didn't touch my board. He didn't touch my brother's board. But he touched the board that mattered the most, and that was the Raiders board. And of course, we're talking about Brock Bowers. But just a couple things here before we do move forward. If you want to catch this, you can always catch this on Instagram Live. You can catch the replay of this video on Instagram Live or on Instagram at All Sports Talk Podcast. Also on YouTube, you can catch it on the Jack's Wild Sports Show. And if you're into TikTok, you can just look up Raider Reaper, and we will try to make more content as the time goes on. And then in a couple weeks here, I will be back for the schedule release show. We'll go over the schedule release show, what our schedule looks like for this upcoming year. So that should be a lot of fun. But it is time to recap the draft. So without further ado, let's get to it. With the first pick, 13th pick in the first round, the Las Vegas Raiders selected Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. Now, to tell you who this kid is, what this kid has done, his accolades, his records, his stats speak for themselves. Player. Now, I'm going to be one of those rare first instances where we pick somebody in the first round, and I didn't have to look at my brother. I didn't have to look around the room, and I didn't have to say who or huh. Who's this guy? I didn't have to do that. I knew who he was. So that's already a good start. That's already a good start. This was one of those things where I think in quick knee-jerk reaction, everybody was caught off guard. Everybody was caught off guard. You can see it in my brother's face. I knew who he was, but I was shocked of what happened. And there was just a lot of people who I think across Raider Nation that was shocked that the pick happened to begin with. But I'm not here to diss the pick because no. But this is going to open up our offense. And what do I mean by that? Heading into this year, we losing where you lose Jacobs, you lose a bunch of players, and you do what you have to do to try to ease the pain, as I always say, right? Ease the pain. Um, the way I see it with Brock Bowers is we know what we have in Devontae Adams. We know what we have in Jacoby Myers. I really can't say the rest of the offense. I really can't say that yet because Trey Tucker is just going to come into his second year. Zamir White is opportunity yet. He's had 4 games, some games, but not as us. Pretty much like this. He doesn't have enough starting time for me to be like, all right, well, we can really judge him. Great. I mean, the final stretch of the last year, it was a great. It must have been good enough to be great for the Raiders to let Jacobs walk. And I know the Raiders offered Jacobs a contract, but Samir White to just, take the leading role. How does Brock Bowers fit into the system? Well, he fits into the system however Luke Getsy wants him to fit in the system. And what I mean by that is he's a football player first. Football player. He's going to be a guy that's going to come in our locker room. He's going to come into our offense. You need him to block, he'll do that. You need him to catch a football, he'll do that too. I don't have to tell you the stats. I don't have to tell you the accolades he's won. That has already been shown every day. How does he fit in this offense? He fits in wherever you want him to fit in. Running the football. He is a weapon. He is going to be a weapon. He's going to open things up for everybody. While eyes are on Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, you had Michael Mayer last year. Trey Tucker's come back. They just signed Michael Gallup, and we'll get into that later. He's going to fit into the system. However, Luke Getsy can get him into the system. And I get it. You look at the board, and I'm sure you think about it, and it's like, well, he's not a need. He's not a need. Why did we take him? Because that's Tom Telesco's MO. Like I mentioned when I did the Raiders video board. Tom Telesco is a best player available guy. And I get it. There's going to be a lot of people, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there. He wasn't a need. He wasn't a need. Just a reminder, we drafted needs before, and it failed. Horrendously, it failed. We needed Devin White, Ed Oliver, Josh Allen. We're probably the best defensive players on the board. But because edge was a need, we took Cleve Farrell. We needed a Kenneth Murray, a Patrick Queen. We took Damon Arnett because apparently he was the best player available. Because we had a need at corner, and he was the best corner at the time. We could have taken a TJ Watt, but we took a Garyon Conley because we had a need at corner. We could have taken CeeDee Lamb, and we did take a wide receiver, but we took the wrong one. And I get it. I'm not saying we took the wrong one because of his issues off the field. We took the wrong one because no way in hell did you think that Henry Ruggs was better than CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of these other. I had CeeDee as my number one at that time. I had Jerry Jeudy as my 2. Doesn't work out sometimes. I can admit that. But never did I ever had Henry Ruggs as my top wide receiver. You can ask, if my brother ever comes onto the show, you can ask him directly what I told him on draft night when we drafted Henry, before we drafted Henry Ruggs. I said you could take any receiver, just not Henry Ruggs. And it wasn't because I thought he was a bad apple, nothing like that. This is prior to his off the field issues. I just think he wasn't worth the first round. If he fell to the second, third, maybe fourth, and he's still there, yeah, all right, that's fine. Not first round, though. Never first round. Never in a million years did I think he was worth a first round talent. But that's not here nor there. What I'm saying is, we have tried for needs before. We could have gotten Christian Darrisaw, and we took Alex Leatherwood instead. We've tried drafting for needs before, and it blew up in our faces. How about we just give this a shot? How about we give this kid who hasn't taken a snap for a shot? How about we give this kid who's the best player available? Here's the funny thing. A lot of mock drafts, there were some mock drafts early on that had Brock Bowers as, a top 10 prospect, and that if he went to the Chargers, the Jets, the Bears, that would have been a great pick. All of a sudden at 13, it is not a great pick. Nothing changes. The only thing that changed, the only reason it makes it look like a bad pick is because we didn't need a tight end. But if people didn't notice about our team, we could move the ball, but we couldn't score. We couldn't score. He brings in a dynamic now to where we put in a position to, hey, when we get to the red zone, maybe we don't kick field goals anymore. Maybe we can actually score a few touchdowns. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to have another dynamic player on offense to help us get touchdowns? I think so. Last time I checked, that's how you win football games. You have to score more touchdowns than the other guy. It helps. It helps. Well, except for that Minnesota Raider game last year, but that's an anomaly. That's an anomaly. We need a score. We need points. We can't have our defense continue to put pressure on the defense to score points. Our offense has to do that, and that's what you do. You bring in a Brock Bowers to open up the offense. Now you have a Devontae Adams. You have a Jacoby Myers. You have a Michael Mayer. You have a Zamir White. You have a revamped defensive line. Now you add Brock Bowers in. This is a situation now. Hey, we can actually possibly score touchdowns now. We were in a lot of games last year where if our offense should have just scored one touchdown, we win the ball game. Is it possible? Is it possible that Brock Bowers is that touchdown? I say yes. And I'm going to give this pick an A only because of the fact that we got a top 10 overall. And there it is. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you so much. I'm going to give this pick an A only because of the fact we got a top 10 prospect that fell out of the top 10 and we snagged him at 13. And if you don't believe me, then why are reports now coming out that the Rams try to trade up so hard with the Raiders to try to snag him at 13? I guarantee you, if he went to the Rams, this would be an A-plus pick, and everybody would be saying, man, the Rams know what they're doing. The Raiders were in a lot of games where all they needed to do was score one more touchdown. Brock Bowers is an extra weapon to get somebody open, whether it's himself in the end zone or somebody else to get in the end zone. I give this pick an A. Second round, pick 44, we took a Jackson and Powers Johnson, the Birmingham Award winner center from Oregon. But as that has been confirmed now, Andre James will continue to play center after getting a new contract extension, and he will move forward as the new right guard for the Raiders. Now, we did sign Cody Whitehair a week before the draft, so again, that's a camp battle. That's going to be a lot of fun. Cody Whitehair has the experience with Luke Getsy. He knows the system. But Jackson Powers Johnson is younger, more versatile. So I mean, like I said, it's not a bad situation to be in. We're either going to start Cody Whitehair or we're going to start Jackson Powers Johnson. And here's the thing: You get possibly a first round talent in the second round. I'm going to give this an A as well. You took the what was graded as the best center in this draft class. It got to the point where he was dominating at the Senior Bowl and they took him out. They saw enough. To me, that's versatile as hell. To me, that's amazing. Yeah, he didn't do any combine, but the fact was he was the best center coming out in this draft. And the fact that the Raiders got him at 44, that is another A pick. You fix your offensive line, which was an issue last year. It got better when you guys did the switch, but we still need depth. He is an excellent key cog, and he is going to be possibly a player that could start for the Raiders week 1. And the fact that he was a first-round talent and you snagged him in the second, A. Just a solid A pick. Yeah, is it weird that he's going to be moving to right guard when he was center? It sounds weird, but then you really look at it, it's really not. His first 2 years in Oregon, he was a guard. He went to center. He's versatile. First round talent, whenever you can get first round talent in the second round, you're doing something right. So this is an A pick by the Raiders. I can't wait to see that camp battle between Cody Whitehair and Jackson Powers Johnson. I think it's going to be amazing. So there's that. So A plus, A pick for the Raiders here. In the third round at 77, DJ Glaze, the offensive tackle out of Maryland. So this is one of those kind of weird ones. I want to say weird as in bad. I say weird as in, wow, I can't believe it. We are actually pulling the trigger and we're actually trying to fix one of our issues, which was the offense and the offensive line, which is great. Again, they had 8 picks and they went balanced as hell. 4 on offense and 4 on defense. And the first 3 picks were offense. So DJ Glaze out of Maryland. I think this is more the fact that because we lost Jermaine Eluemunor to the Giants this year, he could play left tackle, he could play right tackle. He is a switcher. He has done both very well. I think overall, what they want him to do is to be that right tackle. Now, it is his job to gain because as of right now, right tackle is Thayer Munford. Dalton Wagner, the undrafted rookie that we got last year, but he got hurt. So realistically, there is a shot that the gentleman can make the starting lineup. I'm going to say it's very unlikely, but it's theirs if he wants it. One thing about DJ Glaze is that the year prior, he kind of got beat a lot by the edge rushers, by a lot of speed rushers. And this year, he improved, still gave up a couple sacks, still gave up a few sacks, but nothing to where glaring, where hand placement and his footwork was amazing. The only knock on him is that his power, lower body power, is pretty lacking. And I think that explains the speed rushers getting by, and that explains a lot that sometimes things do get through him. But honestly, I think he's going to learn how to play offensive lineman in the NFL. And honestly, he was a sleeper pick for a lot of people. But overall, I'm going to give this pick a C, only just due to the fact that I think we could have went somewhere else. Maybe a little bit more established, like a Christian Jones, like a TJ Tampa, maybe. There was still a lot of talent at that time. It's the fact that we finally went a need here, and he's a sleeper, and there's high upside to him, which is what Tom Telesco loves to do. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then it's just one of those deals where, oh man, we're gonna look back at this and be like, it would have been a great draft if you had just done A, B, C or something. I don't know. But overall, I'm going to give this a C only because of the fact that, one, he doesn't have to start right away. But the thing is, it is his job for the taking. And if he takes it as a rookie, oh boy, we have more issues than we thought. But I'm gonna give it a C for now, just because of the fact that I think you could have gotten him in the fourth. I think maybe you could have tried to get him in the fifth, but it is what it is. It is what it is. You wanted to take a flyer on him on the third because I guess you liked him really that much, and I guess when you like players that much, you take them no matter the price. So I'm gonna go C on this one, and hopefully it works out for the kid. Now, fourth rounder, pick number 112, DeCamarion Richardson's the cornerback out of Mississippi State. The first thing that they said is for the last 2 years, he has led the team. He has led the conference in tackles. I don't need my corners to lead in tackles. Usually what that means, if you're leading in tackles, you're giving up the play. And majority of the plays I saw, not good. Not good. I'm going to be honest with you, and I might sound a little harsh, but I'm going to give this one an F. Because you probably could have gotten him in the seventh round. I'll be honest with you. Who knows? Maybe in 2 years, 3 years, he becomes the next Willie Brown or something. And then I look like a damn fool in this video, you know? And I hope so. Because I would love all my picks to work. But just based on talent and everything that I saw, nothing too impressive to where, yes, speed, awesome. Press coverage, awesome. But for having both of those things and the fact that you still led the team in tackles, and the best clips of you I saw that the Raiders can pull out was you running the 40 and a tackle to stop somebody short of the first down. Yeah, that's not good. Now, if you took him because of special teams, because he's a sure tackler, great. Fourth round, with all that talent that was left, I probably would have preferred a Brendan Rice, a Tommy Eichenberg, which we did in the fifth, and he's up next. Javon Jones was probably still out there from Texas, or Christian Jones was still out there from Javon Foster was out there from Missouri. Christian Jones from Texas. I mean, you could have double dipped on right tackle and really built some depth here. But I hope I'm wrong. Maybe he does lead the team in special teams tackle this year. I don't know. But when you have, I guess, we always say, nobody wants to count that 1/3 of the game is special teams. And if you think he's going to contribute right away to special, and listen, it doesn't mean that he's going to play right away, because you still have Nate Hobbs, you still have Jack Jones, you still have Ja'Cory Bennett, who you drafted last year, you still have Brendan Faison, who you signed last year, and then you got this guy and the guy you took in the seventh. Doesn't mean that he's going to start right away, but I just think in the fourth round, I would have gone a different direction. Maybe a Jalen Wright. Maybe. So I have to give this an F, only due to the fact that if we just took him for special teams, great, sure, tackling's fine. It's a lost start, but if tackling is a lost start, and if tackling is that important to where you got to draft these guys in the fourth round, then I don't think they should have been football players to begin with. That's just my opinion. So, yeah, I'm going to give this one an F. I'm sorry. And who knows, maybe in 2-3 years from now, maybe he becomes somebody and I'll eat crow here. But until then, it's an F. Now, fifth rounder, at pick 148, Tommy Eichenberg, the linebacker out of Ohio State. This is sort of a funny one because me and my brother were watching the draft together at that time, and we literally looked at each other and we said, man, it's got to be linebacker here. We're hurting for linebackers here. Because we don't really know what the linebacking room is going to look like for the Raiders this year. On the roster now, it is Divine Diablo, Robert Spillane, Luke Masterson, Darian Butler, Amari Burney, and now Tommy Eichenberg. Could we just roll with those six? It is a possibility we can just roll with those six because we are so thin. But the fact that we got him in the fifth, it was either between him or Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Either way, I was going to be happy. I'm going to give this one a B. The reason I give it a B is because he's a guy who just loves football. I mean, when you really listen to him, when you really watch how he plays, he just loves football. He loves everything that comes. He loves every part of it: the pain, the physicality, the grind. He loves that. The fame and the money and all that other stuff. It doesn't seem that bothers him. Like he's not in it for that. It's just he's in it for the grind of it. And when you get a linebacker that loves to do that, it is amazing. Now, the great thing is he can stop the run, and that's something that I think is going to be a great addition now with Christian Wilkins, now with Tommy Eichenberg, with Robert Spillane coming back. You know, we fixed our one of our biggest issues on defense. As good as it was last year, the run defense, we could have been better. And now we get this guy in the 5th round who, I'm going to be honest with you, middle linebacker day one if we don't sign a free agent. I see him taking Divine Diablo's spot. What does that mean for Divine Diablo? Doesn't mean that he's not going to be on the field as much, or it doesn't mean that he's not a starter. But honestly, at this point, I like Divine Diablo, but I think this guy would help us more in the run game. Now, Divine Diablo, great player, good player for us. It's just sometimes it just doesn't work out. And hopefully, this is sort of a wake up call to put all the best linebackers we can, because at the end of it, where do we put Tyree? Tyree Wilson is now in question of, well, we drafted you to be our edge, but I'm sorry, you look so slow getting off the ball. Maybe we should put you at the tackle. I mean, I don't know. So that's an issue. But I think to me right now, Tommy Eichenberg here has a beautiful chance and a wonderful chance to become a starting middle linebacker for the Las Vegas Raiders year one. And I'm going to give it a B because great run stuff for now. He has had problems in the past with pass coverage, but luckily for him, he's going to have a good defensive coordinator. He's going to get Patrick Graham, who surprisingly can fix the weakness of the linebacker, because it is one of those things where Patrick Graham has helped Denzel Perryman get a Pro Bowl nod. Robert Spillane was a Pro Bowl snub last year with the season he's had. So if anybody can fix issues of the linebacker position, it probably is Patrick Graham. So Tommy Eichenberg here has a great opportunity to come in, be the middle linebacker for the Las Vegas Raiders day one, week one. And honestly, if he works out, we found our middle linebacker. Because I'm telling you guys now, this guy is all football, and we need that. So B on this pick. With the 6th round, I pick 208. Dylan Lobb, the running back out of New Hampshire. So first off, FCS in the house. But this kid is something. When you look at him, nothing too physicality wise. There's nothing that you say, man, he plays football. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Speed, he is game day speed, meaning he's not going to, if you tell him to run a 40 right now, he'll probably give you low 4.4s to mid 4.5s, so nothing too ecstatic there. But game day, he's all in. He is going to make this team. And I'll tell you why. Because I think in this situation, you look right now, you look at Zamir White, you look at Amir Abdullah, you look at Dylan Lobb, and then we also have Sincere McCormick and Austin Walter or Austin something as your running backs. I think we're going to carry 4 this year just due to the fact of losing Jacobs. Now, that doesn't mean we could sign one in free agency. We'll get to that later. But overall, I do not see why we can't try to get this kid some touches, because this kid is a difference maker in the passing game. He is a difference maker in the running game. And with the new rules of the NFL, he has returned punt returns and kick returns for touchdowns. He will be a great addition on the special teams. So for a 6th round pick, I'm going to give this a B2. Overall, I like what this kid brings. He's versatile. He's gonna bring the passing game. He's nobody that's gonna look like and be like, man, this guy's the next, Barry Sanders or the no, he's exactly what we want him to be. Third down situation running back, kick return, punt return duties, special team duties, third down passing situations, third and short. With his bulkiness, with his toughness, I think we got again another good football player here. So I'm going to give this one a B as well. With the first, a seventh round pick at 223, Trey Taylor, the safety out of Air Force, who people did not realize that he won the 2023 Jim Thorpe Award. Um, so that we have two now in the safety position, Trayvon Morig and Trey Taylor now. So at least that's a conversation that they can both have when when camp opens up and everything. But Trey Taylor, I think here when you get the 2020, when you get any sort of award winner in the seventh round, I'm sorry, I'm going to give this one an A. I'm going to give this one an A because the only reason he went down is because he played at Air Force and nobody thinks that, that's level competition. I'm going to be honest with you. He's a leader. I think when you look at him, he's an intelligent, IQ man who played the safety position great. He is a good safety. He's going to contribute right away on special teams to where that's where the intelligence will show up. I think, getting everybody in place. But overall, Trey Taylor here to get him in the seventh round, a Jim Thorpe Award winner in the seventh round. That is very rare in today's NFL. And so I loved it. Everything about it. I love his game from sure tackling, high IQ, high motor. There's not one bad thing to say about Trey Taylor other than he went to Air Force. Had he gone anywhere else and did the same thing there, won the Jim Thorpe Award with any other university like an Alabama, an LSU, a Clemson, a USC, he probably would have been taken in the fourth or fifth, maybe late third. But so Trey Taylor pick for me. And last but not least, seventh round. The last seventh round pick was 229. MJ Devonshire, the corner out of Pitt. So here's the crazy thing about this one, right? So the Raiders clearly thought that secondary was a big weakness. Well, I didn't think so, but apparently they see the practice film, they see what's going on in practice, and I don't. That's why I'm doing this for fun. But overall, this kid, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm actually going to give it a C only because of the fact of this. He played really well in Pitt. His first 2 years, he was backup special teams. It wasn't until his last 2 years, he finally got a shot to prove who he was and, his game, did his thing. And, unfortunately, he had to wait until the seventh round to hear his name, but I'm sure he's happy that he heard his name called. Overall, I think where he fits is more. If he can be a slot right now and maybe develop into an outside, that'd be great. But I'm gonna only give the C only because of the fact of, and it's not his fault that he got picked. It's much more. Well, let me be fair. I'll give it a B because of the player he is. I'm gonna give it a C for the Raiders because we had other needs. There was other players available at that time still. You could have taken a Leonard Taylor. You could have taken a Matt Lee to reassure that offensive line. You could have taken so many others, but we wanted to shore up our secondary. And now we have to hope it works out. We have to hope it works out. Now, what is he going to contribute on this team? I think right now special teams, but I'm going to be honest with you. When you look at his film, it's very good film. I mean, I think what it is you get an outside corner here. seventh rounder. You take a flyer. If he develops to be a good starter or at least a solid player for the Raiders, then it's nothing to be mad about. It is good enough to be like, hey, we finally have depth in the cornerback position that we haven't had in quite a while. Quite a while. You know, the Meek Robinson loss apparently was bigger than I really thought. So, so I mean, and that's it. That's a draft. That's the draft class. If you were to tell me to give this whole thing a grade, I'm going to be honest with you. I will give it a solid B. Um, you got what you think you needed. You added value, especially with your two first picks. You added value. I think this is great. I think overall this is a solid draft class by the Las Vegas Raiders to improve the team today. I give it a B. Now, where does this leave the Raiders where they're at now? Well, as we mentioned earlier, Michael Gallup was signed today to the Las Vegas Raiders for a 1-year, $3 million contract. So where does he fit? Well, I'll tell you where he fits. He's on a wide receiver room that after Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams, possibly Trey Tucker, the depth is not there. It is not there. And I think that's something. If you were to tell me, knowing hindsight 2020, I think what I would have done is instead of the Cameron Richardson after the fourth round, I would have taken Brendan Rice. Just to have him, just as he's a fourth. He would be a fourth rounder, and he wouldn't have to start right away, and he would be an excellent piece to this offense. But now you have Michael Gallup, so now the slot competition is going to be very tough. It's going to be amazing for Trey Tucker to pretty much keep up with Michael Gallup to see how that works. You know, iron sharpens iron, and that's going to be an interesting camp battle to see how that works out. And now with everything, we have 5 roster spots because I think after the Michael Gallup training or signing, we have 5 roster spots available. To me, if I was the Raiders, I would look at some of these key names. In no particular order. Number 1, Adoree Jackson, the corner. And I know what you're thinking, but we just drafted corner. Brandon Faison's going to come off injury. I don't know what he has left. After that, we have Jacorian Bennett, who just was a rookie last year and got demoted from actually starting week 1 to being demoted and his playing time kind of diminished here and there. I think if you add Adoree Jackson to this secondary, you're now saying to yourself, man, we actually can have depth at the cornerback, like true depth. So that's the first guy. The second one, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to do this. Shaquille Leonard, the linebacker from Indy who signed with Philadelphia last year. The reason I say bring in Shaquille Leonard is I think he still has enough juice. I think he has juice left in that tank to help the Raiders defense today. Now you got a situation where you can actually put Eichenberg to learn behind Shaquille Leonard for a year, to learn from one of the best in the game. I think that would be amazing. I think that's how you should do it. You know, you put Shaquille Leonard in the middle linebacker, and now you look at yourself and be like, hey, now we actually have depth. Even with one piece, now we can actually have maybe a true linebacking room. You know, and now that gives you an opportunity. Well, how do you feel about Tyree Wilson? Because Tyree Wilson, I think, is the wild card in this year's team. Is he a linebacker, or with the frame with the pictures that people are showing, can you move him to inside permanently? Because remember, he did play inside in some packages, but is there a possibility that you could put him inside as a D tackle permanently? It's there. He's got the frame. He's got the body type for it. It's just a discussion for today. So there's that one. I think if I was to say the next name, I think a lot of people would scoff at it, but I don't think people would understand how much value it would bring to this team. The number 3 team, or the number 3 player I would pick up, David Bakhtiari. David Bakhtiari. Injuries? Yes, 100%. Hasn't had a full season in quite some time. But I'm not asking him to have a full season with us. What I'm asking is come in, be a depth piece. Be a depth piece to this team to where you can come in sometimes. Because Colton Miller is our only true left tackle. After that, we're kind of hitting our luck here. Jermaine Eluemunor is gone. That would have been his responsibility. Do you really trust DJ Glaze immediately to go to the left side? Because Mumford has already shown you he's strictly a right tackle. Adding David Bakhtiari here would be depth needed to where he doesn't have to play. But if his number is called, he's ready to go and he could still rest. I think to me running back should be something to look at too. I think to me, running back should be something to look into. So maybe a player like a Dalvin Cook, maybe that'll help. Here's the thing. Zamir White's your starter, but how much trust do you have him as a starter? You bring in Dalvin Cook, well, hey, now you're going to have 4 running backs of a Dalvin Cook, a Zamir White, a Dylan Law, and an Amir Abdullah. That's actually not a bad running back room. And I think last but not least, I would actually put Tyler Boyd. I would actually bring Tyler Boyd in. Odell Beckham Jr., I think, would be asking for way too much because he has a certain lifestyle that he has to live up to. I think he'd be asking for way too much. But Tyler Boyd, I think now what you're asking is, hey, now after Devontae Jacoby, we got Michael Gallup, we got Tyler Boyd, we got Trey Tucker. That's a lot better than what we have right now. You bring them in, you make them compete, and the ones that don't make, the starting roster, you put them on special teams, and guess what? Now you continue to add a weaponry to your special teams. So overall, I think this team did what it had to do to become a better team today. Where does that put them? I don't know, because the rest of the division got better too. So now it's just a matter of what happens when the pads go on. Overall, I loved what the team did. I loved everything about the picks that they made. They didn't reach, respectively. They didn't reach. Was there some picks I loved? Absolutely. And was there some picks that maybe just not it? That's every year. But I can tell you this thing. They went best player available. And I know there's going to be a lot of Raider fans that are going to say, well, we needed this, we needed that. We've done that. I've given you examples. This is why let's give best player available a chance, because what does it hurt? We have tried everything else but best player available. What does it hurt? So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody that tuned in on Instagram Live and YouTube Live. Again, Jack's Wild Sports Show on YouTube, All Sports Talk Podcast on Instagram. And if you want to follow me personally on TikTok, it is Raider Reaper. On Instagram, it is Raider Loco 91. And on Facebook, it's just regular Juan Rodriguez from Las Vegas, Nevada. And X or Twitter, whatever you young cats call it nowadays, at Just Another Guy. So until then, everybody, have a wonderful night. Enjoy your Tuesday. I'll see you guys back here for a couple weeks, but I'll be doing other shows as well with my good buddy Brandon. We'll be getting ready for the upcoming NBA draft, everything like that, our schedule release reaction. So until then, everybody, have a wonderful night. Please be safe out there. And as always, go Raiders.